Admiral stood on the command bridge of the Imperial Dreadnought Eternal Dominion, his four eyes scanning the holographic display before him. The Empire had ruled the galaxy for over 10,000 years. They had conquered 100 species. They had burned worlds and built monuments to their glory across 1,000,000 stars. Nothing in the known universe could challenge their power. So when the sensors detected a small vessel entering their territory near the outer rim, barely looked up from his tactical reports. Probably another primitive species attempting their first journey into deep space. The Empire encountered such civilizations every few centuries. They were always the same: weak, fragile, easy to crush or enslave. "Identify the vessel," commanded in a bored tone. The junior officer at the sensor station worked quickly, his gray fingers dancing across the control panel. Several moments passed, then more moments. The officer's posture changed. His shoulders tensed. His breathing became faster. "Admiral," the officer said, his voice strange and uncertain, "I am having difficulty with the identification." Finally turned his attention to the young officer. "Explain yourself." "The vessel, it does not match any known design in our database. The hull material is unrecognized. The energy signature is unlike anything I have ever seen." The officer paused, clearly struggling with his next words. "And Admiral, the ship appears to be traveling at speeds that our physics models say should be impossible." Now was interested. He walked closer to the main viewing screen and ordered a visual display of the approaching vessel. The image that appeared made him freeze in place. The ship was beautiful in a terrifying way. It was sleek and dark, built with aggressive angles that seemed designed for one purpose only: war. The vessel was smaller than his dreadnought, perhaps the size of a destroyer, but something about its presence filled the bridge with an uncomfortable feeling. It moved through space with a grace that seemed almost predatory, like a hunter approaching its prey. "Scan the vessel completely," ordered. "I want to know everything: origin, weapon systems, crew count, everything." The scanning officer worked for several minutes. When he looked up, his face had lost all color. "Admiral, the scans are returning impossible readings." "Stop using that word," snapped. "Nothing is impossible. The Empire has cataloged every form of technology in the galaxy. Report what you see." The officer swallowed hard. "The hull is made from a material our sensors cannot identify. It is not any metal or alloy in our database. The ship has over 40 weapon systems that I can detect, but I do not understand how they work. Some appear to use miniature-contained singularities. Others seem to fire directed plasma at temperatures higher than the core of a star." He paused again. "And Admiral, the ship has shields, multiple layers of shields. Our most powerful weapons would not even scratch this vessel." Felt something he had not experienced in over 300 years of military service. Fear, pure, cold fear running through his body like poison. "Where did this ship come from?" he demanded. Before anyone could answer, the communication system activated. A voice came through the speakers. It spoke in perfect, but with a strange accent that made every word sound slightly wrong. "Attention, Imperial vessel. This is Captain Sarah of the United Earth Navy Warship Defiance. You are ordered to hold your position and prepare for inspection. Any hostile action will be met with immediate and overwhelming force." The bridge fell completely silent. Every officer stared at the speakers as if they had started speaking in ancient tongues. His mind raced through his knowledge of galactic species. Humans, Earth. He had heard of this species before, but only in rumors and classified intelligence reports. A young civilization from a small world in an unremarkable solar system. They had achieved space travel only a few centuries ago. By standards, they were practically children. Yet the ship before him was more advanced than anything the Empire had ever built. "This is Admiral of the Empire," he responded, trying to keep his voice steady. "You are trespassing in Imperial space. This region is under our protection and control. You will identify yourself properly and explain your presence here." There was a brief pause. Then the human voice returned, and this time there was something cold in its tone. "Admiral, I suggest you check your records more carefully. This region was declared a protected neutral zone by the Galactic Council 18 months ago. The Empire agreed to those terms. You are the ones who should not be here." Turned to his intelligence officer with fury in his eyes. The officer checked his records and went pale. "She is correct, Admiral. This sector was designated neutral territory. We received the notification, but it was filed away." Filed away, ignored, because the Empire ignored whatever they wished to ignore. They had done so for 10,000 years without consequence. "We do not recognize the authority of the Galactic Council," said, returning to the communication. "The Empire bows to no one. You will withdraw your vessel immediately, or we will destroy you." The human captain laughed. It was not a nervous laugh or a frightened laugh. It was the laugh of someone who found the situation genuinely funny. "Admiral, I was hoping you would say something like that. Let me give you some information that might help you make a better decision." The main display suddenly changed. New data streamed across the screens faster than the officers could process it. Technical specifications, combat records, test results, video footage of weapons being fired, ships being destroyed, entire fleets reduced to floating wreckage in seconds. "That is a sample of what the Defiance is capable of," Captain said. "My ship carries enough firepower to crack you in half. I have weapons that your species does not have names for yet. My shields can withstand the combined assault of your entire Imperial fleet for approximately 6 hours before they even begin to weaken. And Admiral, I am just one ship. Earth has 300 more just like me." Stared at the data. His tactical officers stared at the data. None of them could speak. The numbers did not make sense. The technology did not make sense. Nothing about this situation made any sense at all. "How is this possible?" one of the officers whispered. "They were a primitive species. Our scouts observed them less than 2 centuries ago. They had barely reached their own moon." The communication crackled again. Captain's voice had softened slightly, but it still carried absolute confidence. "Your scouts observed us at a particular moment in our development. What you failed to understand is that humans do not advance at a steady pace. We advance in sudden bursts of creativity and desperation. We went from riding horses to splitting atoms in less than 50 years. We went from our first space station to faster-than-light travel in less than a century. When we learned that species like yours existed out there, conquering and enslaving others, we put every resource we had into defense." She paused, letting her words sink in. "You built your empire by being stronger than everyone else. You never imagined that someone might become stronger than you. That was your mistake." Looked around his bridge. His officers were terrified. Their hands trembled. Their eyes were wide. For the first time in their lives, they were facing a predator more dangerous than themselves. The hunters had become the hunted, and they did not know how to react. "What do you want?" asked finally. His voice sounded weak even to his own ears. "Right now, I want you to leave this sector," Captain replied. "In the future, I want your empire to understand that the rules have changed. You can no longer take whatever you want. You can no longer burn worlds and enslave populations. The strong must protect the weak now, not prey upon them. If you continue your old ways, you will find human warships above your capital world. And Admiral, I promise you, that is not an experience you want to have." The communication ended. The Defiance remained motionless in space, its dark hull reflecting the distant stars. Knew that he had weapons and warriors ready. He could order an attack. He could try to prove that the Empire still ruled this galaxy. But he also knew, with absolute certainty, that such an attack would end with his ship as nothing more than scattered atoms floating in the void. Helm said quietly, "Set course for Imperial space. Maximum speed." The bridge officers moved immediately, almost desperately, eager to put distance between themselves and the human vessel. As the Eternal Dominion turned and began to retreat, watched the defiance on the viewing screen. The human ship did not pursue them. It did not fire. It simply watched them leave, like a patient guardian making sure the threat was gone. When they were finally back in Imperial territory, retired to his quarters and sat alone in the darkness. He had served the Empire for 3 centuries. He had believed, truly believed, that nothing could ever threaten supremacy. Now he knew the truth. The galaxy had changed. A new power had risen, and the Empire would have to change with it or face complete destruction. On the Defiance, Captain Sarah stood at her own viewing window, watching the dreadnought disappear into the distance. Her first officer approached and stood beside her. "Do you think they will listen?" he asked. Considered the question carefully. "Some will, some will not. The stubborn ones will test us. They will send fleets and armies and weapons, believing they can win through sheer numbers or determination. They will fail, and eventually they will all understand." Understand what? Turned away from the window, a small smile crossing her face. That humanity did not survive 200,000 years of predators, ice ages, diseases, and wars by being weak. We survived by being the most dangerous thing our world ever produced. The galaxy is about to learn what every extinct species on Earth already knows. When humans decide something is a threat, we do not run. We do not hide. We become the bigger threat. She walked back to her command chair and sat down. "Set course for the next system. We have more empires to educate." The Defiance turned toward the stars and accelerated, its engines blazing like captured fire. Across the galaxy, other human warships were doing the same thing, flying into territories controlled by ancient empires, delivering the same message, making the same promises. And one by one, the old powers of the galaxy were learning a simple truth that would reshape everything they knew. Humans were no longer the young species to be ignored or conquered. They were the future. And the future had arrived.